Rest in peace to Jimmy Cliff, one of the greatest musicians, artists, versatile performers in any style of genre of music. He passed at the age of 81, but I'm going to tell you something. The Harder They Fall, what an anthem, what a song. You know, we talk about reggae, and of course Bob Marley's known as the king. Peter Tosh was fiery, and you had other stalwarts like Third World and Steel Pulse. But Jimmy Cliff was the guy who kind of was the link between it all, because he made it, he commercialized it, but he did it in a way where it still had an edge, but he softened it up. He had a way of being so distinctive with it. His voice, his demeanor, his tone. You know, when you go from iconic movie, he even did a remake of I Can See Clearly Now, which was on Cool Runnings, which introduced him to a whole new audience. And you got to think about it. He had such an appeal and a range that spoke for various generations. Singer-songwriter. He really tapped into so much. People don't understand that reggae style of music, while it may come across simplistic to the naive ear, is very complex. And on top of that, it was almost like forbidden or taboo. And he broke down so many barriers. You know, he really truly was a trailblazer, a groundbreaker, and a guy who compartmentalized in a way that for so many people to gravitate towards it. And he was doing it subtly and not so subtle, because some of his music was being speaking about, he spoke out about Vietnam, he spoke about all kinds of things going on. But he got an array of doing it in a way that the message was there, but it didn't hit you in the head, but yet it was very forthright. He was a very unique artist that way, because so often than not, a lot of times artists have to talk tough, or some artists have to be vulgar, some artists have to use all kinds of words to get their point through. He was very peaceful, but yet he was very solid. He had a foundation. He had a way of bringing it to, that it was cohesive. It was powerful, but it was also smooth. You know, you don't really associate that in the times he came in, but he was a man for the people, about the people, who said things and made words and music that you could identify with on all stages, ages, and spaces. But yet he also had a message. You know, when you think about people like Steel Pulse, and you think about UB40, acts like that, Jimmy Cliff was like a beacon of light, because he inspired a lot. He was like a go-to behind, and he really was a messenger with his music. So he was just as much part of the protest and one of the most important artistries to form out of reggae music and beyond. He could cover a wide range. His voice was like a beacon of light, and it had just such a theme. He was just really into his craftsmanship, but then he also, you know, made you feel where he was coming from. So truly, an artist is artist, musician's musician, and a writer's writer. And to be able to connect those dots, because you weren't just a reggae artist, you were also making music and creating something that people from all walks of life were either going to gravitate towards. And it wasn't just a one thing only, it was a full-fledged. So very talented artistry and an amazing talent. So, you know, when you hear his music, you feel the pulse of something that was deep and profound. And what an artistry. What an artistry. What a guy who left such a lasting impact on the culture, on the musical world of music. And he transcended it beyond. He took it all over. And he was one of the best to ever do it. So we're remembering Jimmy Cliff, an artist that left a lasting impact and mark. And yes, he definitely was a trailblazer, because what he was able to do, he was one of one. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for another. Share the video if you like. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out one time. Peace.